Hi, everybody. So we're just going to do a quick practice of a typical Regents exam question on scientific method. It's very common to have an open-ended extended response question on scientific method. They'll suggest some question or problem that needs to be answered and ask you to design the experiment. And so I've put up the most simple one I could think of for us to practice with, which is a scientist wants to know if plants grow better when given water. We know the answer to that, but let's just say that we weren't sure and we wanted to run the experiment to find out. So, scientist wants to know if plants grow better when given water. Design the experiment and identify each of the following: a hypothesis, control group, experimental group, independent variable, dependent variable, constants, and an example of an experiment of experimental results that would support the hypothesis. Really common to ask some of those. Very unusual to ask all of them, but in our practices, I will have you do them all because we don't know which ones the Regents will ask for or the exam at the end of this unit. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is imagine what the experiment looks like, and I've suggested that you should always draw a picture. So a little picture of what the experiment looks like. We'll have some plants with water and we'll have some plants without water, and then we'll watch them, right? And we'll do some measuring, something. All right, so let's see. We want to know if they grow better. Is growing better measurable? No. So we're going to need something specific that we want to measure. So consider what kinds of things we might measure. And there's a lot of options. Let's pick the easiest. Height. Okay. So let's imagine what the hypothesis will be if we're trying to see if plants grow taller if we give them water. So what would be the hypothesis? Remember, we want an if-then statement because it makes the rest of the design easier. So if plants get water, then they will grow taller, right? If plants are given water, then they will grow taller, and that's the hypothesis. Now we have our prediction, that's our hypothesis as statement. There's no question mark, okay? If plants are given water, then they will grow taller. So now we have to look at our setup. We've got a group with water, a group without water. Which one here is the control group? Now usually the control group is the group without the thing you're testing. So is that going to be the plants with the water or the plants without the water? The control group is going to be the plants without the water. I normally put the control group over on the left and the experimental group on the right. This picture happens to have it the reverse. That's fine. But the control group is without water. Be careful. Control group is not constants. That is not to say that the amount of light or anything like that has to stay the same. That's not the control. The control is the actual plants that are grown without water. Okay, good. So what's the experimental group? Those are the plants grown with water. So the experimental group is the plants grown with water. So the independent variable, the thing that's made different between the two groups from the start, is the independent variable is the amount of water. One gets no water, one gets some. We could have a third group of plants with more water. So we could have no water, a little water, and a lot of water. The independent variable would still be water, the one thing that's different among all the groups. And what is it that we're predicting will be different depending upon whether they got water? The dependent variable is going to be the height. And recall that if you're not sure about which is the dependent and independent variable, we can go back to our hypothesis. If and I independent. The independent variable is up here, the amount of water, if water. The dependent variable is the then part, their height. So that will help you sort out, did I get it right? Yes, the independent is the amount of water. That's the part in the if statement. All right. And what about constants? Now remember, in other states besides New York, these might be called controls, but we don't do that. The control group is the actual plants grown without water. The constants are the things that are kept the same between the two groups. Here, the constants are going to be the amount of light, the temperature of the species, the age of the plants. And then this one's a little tricky because it's hard to figure out what they want. It's like, what are they looking for? But it's actually really, really easy once you've gotten this far. An example of experimental results that would support the hypothesis. Well, what would that be? Well, let's go back and look at the hypothesis. If plants are given water, then they will grow taller. Oh, okay. So what would be a result here that would suggest that plants, if they get water, they grow taller? If these plants grow taller, right? And what do you say? It's like one of those questions. You're like, what do they want me to write? Easy. Just restate your hypothesis instead of as a prediction, as what actually happened. So not if plants are given water, then they will grow taller. Just The plants that were given water grew taller, right? The experimental results that would support the hypothesis would be that the plants that were given water grew taller. Done deal. And that's how you do one of those open-ended Regents questions.